Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 7th April, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 15. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, tumultuous budget session marked by disruptions ends. So the budget session has come to the end. Both the House of Parliament have been adjourned sine die. So adjournment of the sessions of the House as such takes place through the leader of the House, head of the House, that is the chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha and the speaker in case of Lok Sabha. So adjournment sine die. Sine die term means that the adjournment has taken place without referring to another date when the House would be convened again. So that is adjourned sine die. So generally when adjournments take place, the speaker or the chairman in case of Rajya Sabha, they actually give a date that now the House has been adjourned, we will meet on this particular date. But when the session is over now, since the budget session is over, the adjournment is sine die without referring to any date. So this is how it takes place. Then the Lok Sabha, you should know that at the end of this session, budget session, 127 hours of work were lost due to protests over various issues. We have seen the Kaveri water dispute was an issue on which Tamil Nadu and Karnataka government were protesting. Andhra Pradesh was protesting on the special category status demand. So these were the things which went on. AIADMK members protested in the well for the constitution of Kaveri Management Board, which we have seen earlier too. The Supreme Court had given the order that the plan should be put into effect, but the central government has still been reluctant. The Kaveri Management Board has not been formed, and this is what Tamil Nadu political party AIADMK members were protesting for. And we know the parties from Andhra Pradesh were protesting for having special category status conferred on Andhra Pradesh state. And also they had initiated no confidence motion against the government. Even these no confidence motions could not be taken up because the House was not in order according to the Speaker of Lok Sabha. So here you can see the details given of the budget session. Least productive session when compared to such sessions since 2000. So here you can see Lok Sabha productivity shown in red and Rajya Sabha productivity shown in blue over the years from 2000 to 2018, and it was a drastic dip in this present budget session. And this is performance of questioner as percentage of scheduled time, how much time was given, how much productive time was it in the questioner. So here also you can see amongst least productive 5 sessions since 2000. And time spent on legislation, passing laws. Here also the productivity is very low, both in case of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then next is session sign off on unhappy note. So now the opposition parties are saying if the government fails to address the issues concerning Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, which we just discussed, the monsoon session of Parliament will also be a washout like the budget session. So this is what the opposition parties say. So the monsoon session as such will begin in July. So this is another concern which should be there, and backdoor channels should be opened up, and the opposition has to be taken into confidence, and government needs to build in confidence amongst the opposition, accept or negotiate with them on their demands. So the opposition actually has advised the government that a 2-week special session of Parliament should be summoned to take up major pending bills and issues of public concern as such, because there is a long gap between the monsoon session and the budget session being concluded now. So this is a suggestion given by the opposition parties. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that the intense debates in the Constituent Assembly over the need for a second chamber should also be considered, because it was highlighted in the Constituent Assembly too that the upper house, the Rajya Sabha, will become a clog in the wheel of progress. So such warnings had come up even at the time of constitution making. So in the Constituent Assembly. Even India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had raised similar fears as highlighted by Rajya Sabha Chairman presently. He said that the second chamber, means the Rajya Sabha, which is in English called Council of States, will check forward tendencies of the lower house and will be reactionary. So such fears were raised even by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So this is there. Then here these are the list of the timeline as such, how the demands by various political parties in the opposition were raised and the developments which took place during the budget session. So this is regarding special category status which Andhra Pradesh wanted, and Kaveri water dispute of Tamil Nadu. Then the next news item is PJ Kurin for change in house rules. So this is outgoing deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha, PJ Kurin, who is from Congress political party. He has argued for changing the existing rules to effectively deal with disruptions in the Rajya Sabha. So he says that unlike the Lok Sabha, where rules allow the speaker to suspend members without seeking prior nod of the house, the Rajya Sabha does not have similar powers. So the rules here are different. So there is a need for change in rules. Existing rules in the Rajya Sabha, they allow the chair to deal with one disrupting member. But when they act collectively, then there is a need to move a motion in the house of, in the upper house, that is the Council of States, and that motion has to be passed by the house. So when majority of the members are protesting, the motion cannot be passed, and the rules as such do not allow the chairman of Rajya Sabha to suspend members. So this is a point being raised here. Then next is process to procure 110 fighter jets begins. So this is the Ministry of Defence initiating the formal process now to buy 110 fighter jets for the Indian Air Force. So this will be the global tendering process which would be initiated. So this actually is 2 decades after Indian Air Force began the last major effort to get fighter jets in large numbers. You should be knowing about MMRCA. We have discussed it quite often. This is regarding medium multi-role combat aircraft tender. So this was initiated 2 decades ago. Finally, the tender was won by Dassault Rafale fighters from France, but then the deal was cancelled in 2015. So we have discussed this earlier too. The for the Rafale fighters, Make in India initiative was part of it. So HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, was to make in India majority of the fighters, but for that Dassault, the company having Rafale fighter jets manufactured, was not ready to take responsibility for those fighters which are manufactured in India, made in India. So this resulted in the deal not going ahead, and the deal was cancelled. Modi government decided to buy 36 Rafale fighter jets in a government to government deal, not through the tender but direct government to government deal. This has resulted in a controversy now, and when this has now been finally scrapped, this deal in 2015, this deal, so now another tendering process has been initiated. Also another program was there to produce 114 single engine fighters in India under Make in India program. So this was also scrapped by the government in 2018 after questions were raised that why such a narrow competition is there. So now for these 110 fighters, more specifications have been given, whether they will be single engine or double engine. So this is open competition now, which has been announced. RFI, request for information, will be issued. So this issue, the request for information which has been issued, will result in the process being initiated, but then it will take several years for it to conclude. As we saw, it took 2 decades for the last initiation to conclude. So here you can see the entire cost of this deal. It's said to be the one of the costliest deals as such so far. World's biggest fighter jets tender in market right now, costing over $15 billion or 1 lakh crore rupees. Also the request for information, the RFI. So RFI, request for information, is the first step which is taken when a global tender is issued or a tender is issued. So the RFI says that government plans to buy 110 fighter jets, of which 85% will have to be built in India under Make in India program in partnership with a strategic partner or Indian production agency. So any foreign company which is going to win this deal will need to have a strategic partner, that is an Indian production partner, and 85% of these fighter jets have to be built in India. So this is there. So the present competition would also be amongst the earlier MMRCA competitors only. New variants of Dassault's Rafale, Eurofighter Typhoon, Lockheed Martin's F-16, Boeing's FA-18 Super Hornet, Russia's MiG-35 and Sweden's Gripen. These are said to be major global competitors for this tender. So this is regarding the deal which we have discussed, the MMRCA deal which finally got scrapped. So this we have discussed quite often. Let's see. Then next is outage affects government websites. So Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman caused a flutter when she announced on Twitter that Defence Ministry's website has been hacked. and over a dozen official websites of the government have been hacked as such. So later it was the National Informatics Center which clarified. The National Informatics Center, you should know, is the agency which hosts government websites. So it said these websites were not hacked, they were down because of a hardware problem. So there was a hardware failure is what the India's cybersecurity chief has also highlighted. So actually the websites were down and there was this Chinese character as such which was displayed and which you can see here. So this Chinese character was seen as Chinese hand behind this hacking, but then NIC, National Informatics Center, has clarified that this is the default logo of Drupal. Drupal is the content management software, CMS, which is used for developing the content for the website. So this is the justification, clarification given as such too. So here you can see this is the error which came on government websites. This is regarding content management system. So we have various content management systems like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, Magento, etc. So these are open source content management systems. So these are software programs which create a website, and this can be created easily without having a detailed understanding of computer coding. So it helps in managing and designing websites as such. And this is regarding NIC, National Informatics Center. So it provides state-of-the-art IT solutions to the government and corporate sector. It develops websites, it has networking expertise as such. NICNet is the computer communication network of NIC, National Informatics Center, which connects national capital, the state capitals and all district headquarters, as well as certain blocks as such. So this is the NICNet, which you should know about. Then next is encroachment in 4 national parks in Assam. Minister. So Assam Environment Minister said that there are 4 national parks in Assam which are under encroachment. They are Kaziranga, Manas, Dibru-Saikhowa and Nameri. So in UPSC you should know which national parks lie in which state. And this is regarding encroachment. Here families are said to be squatting in villages across the national parks. So this point has been raised. This is apart from the other institutions and places of worship which are also there in national parks. So you can see Kaziranga lies here, Dibru-Saikhowa is here, Manas lies here, and Nameri is actually here, near the border with Arunachal Pradesh. So here you can see here it's shown, Nameri National Park. Then next is NGT notice to UP government. So National Green Tribunal has asked the Uttar Pradesh government to reply within a week why environmental compensation should not be levied on it, because it has failed to comply with the orders regarding discharge of untreated sewage into Ganga. So no action has been taken, no action plans have been prepared by the authorities. So this was actually the National Green Tribunal who had issued order in December 2016. But the order has not been complied with. So this is the case. The issue had come up, the petition had been filed, the issue came before NGT when the Central Pollution Control Board demanded that UP Pollution Control Board, CEOs of municipal councils have to prepare a plan of action to clean Ganga and the water bodies in a time-bound manner, and also recover the cost of preparation and execution from the polluters. So no steps have been taken by the UP Pollution Control Board and civic bodies is the present scenario. Then next is government bans import of hormone Oxytocin. So Union government has now banned imports of hormone Oxytocin, means the demand would be taken care of through national production only. So this Oxytocin is actually misused in the livestock industry, animal husbandry industry. So activists say that this causes hormonal imbalance and shortens the lives of milch animals. So this oxytocin, which is also called as love hormone, it is also secreted in humans. So this is released naturally in human bonding activities such as sex, childbirth and breastfeeding. So this hormone now, which is abused in the animals as such, shortening their life, making them barren sooner, has been asked to be banned from being imported. It's a prescription only drug. So the retail sale of this has also been halted in 2014, but still illegal sales take place, and now imports have been got. This is there. So here you can see the details of oxytocin are also given. It's a hormone secreted by the pituitary gland. So it's used both for humans and animals, even to accelerate normal labor. Then next is plea on CJI's powers over roster. So former Law Minister and senior advocate Shanti Bhushan, he has moved the Supreme Court for a declaration that the authority of the Chief Justice of India as master of roster should not be reduced to an absolute, singular and arbitrary power. So this PIL petition has been initiated, and CJI is also made a party in this petition, and Mr. Shanti Bhushan has also separately wrote to Secretary General of the Supreme Court that this petition should not come before a bench in which CJI, Deepak Mishra, is also part. Means because it is regarding CJI. So this is a PIL petition that CJI is the master of the roster. Does not mean that CJI individually is. So he says that Supreme Court rules highlight transparency in the administrative functioning of CJI. So when the allocation of cases take place to various benches of the Supreme Court, bench of judges of the Supreme Court, here the term CJI should be interpreted as collegium of senior judges and not just CJI individually. It should not be unilaterally by the CJI but collectively by the collegium. So this is what he is demanding a clarification on. So this is such is the issue presently, because we have seen earlier too that the next 4 senior most judges had come before the media. They went public in Jan 2018, on Jan 12 to be specific, when they said that selective allocation of cases is taking place by the CJI to preferred benches. So this issue now has been further taken forward by this PIL petition. Then next is Nepal PM pitches for Indian investments. So Nepal PM, Mr. Oli, was on a visit to India, and here he has highlighted that a more stable Nepal is open for Indian investments. He's calling for Indian investments in Nepal, and also the Nepalese diaspora, which is there. People from Nepal who are living in India, and Nepali diaspora in Delhi was told that the Nepali Prime Minister said that he would build an environment that would help attract them back home as well. So developments in Nepal and close relation, improvement of relations with Nepal are being seen now. The relations suffered the 2015 earthquake, which has resulted in Nepali economy being severely affected. Still, Nepal is trying to rebuild its economy. There have been protests going on, the Madhesi protests, in which Indian role was also, scorned at by the Nepali Prime Minister as such too. But now the relations are improving. So this is there. So he recently won a big mandate for his party during the elections, and this is his first visit after that win. So you should know Nepal's economy depends heavily on global remittances. So global remittances as such by Nepalis from all across the globe make up to 30% of Nepali GDP. And many Nepalis work and live in India as such too. Around 7 million estimated to be living and working in India, 5 to 7 million. And you should know that India and Nepal have open borders. So you don't need a visa to visit Nepal. Then next is US sanctions target Putin's allies. So US has now imposed sanctions on 7 of Russia's most influential oligarchs. Means big giants as such, means the metal magnate who was a millionaire, billionaire who is close to Russia, the metal magnate Mr. Oleg Deripaska, also the director of state-owned energy giant Gazprom. These are amongst the 7 influential oligarchs who have been imposed sanctions on. Means any asset that they hold in areas under US jurisdiction can now be frozen. So this is said to be by some scholars as a new Cold War being initiated. So US and Russia have been locking horns recently because of various issues, the latest being the poisoning of the double spy agent, Russian agent in Britain. So that is the latest issue. Apart from that, occupation of Crimea by Russia has angered Western powers. Even support for Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria, which is fighting against the Western powers. So these are concerns. And also the cyber activity, malicious cyber activity, which is said to have influenced elections, the presidential elections in US also, which tilted in favor of Donald Trump. So these are various issues between US and Russia presently. And this is regarding Crimea crisis too. So actually Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 from Ukraine. So this is regarding that. Then next is 7 dead, over 1,000 injured in Gaza clashes. So Israeli troops have killed 7 men in the second mass protest along the Gaza's border. So Palestinians are presently putting on fire piles of tires to create a smoke screen so that the view as such is blocked of the snipers which are being sent. So there have been many deaths now. 29 Palestinians have so far been killed by Israeli firing in the last week. 23 of them were protesters. So this protest which is taking place is in Gaza, where the Hamas political party which rules here has said that these protests are against the decade-old border blockade of the territory. So borders have been blocked by Israel, and against this they are protesting. Also, Israel has drawn sharp criticism from international community because of its open fire orders along the border. Means warnings, including that its warnings, those who are approaching or even trying to damage the fence which is there would be targeted. So there will be open fire. Anybody approaching, anybody damaging would be fired on. So UN Human Rights Office has also said that this is excessive use of force against protesters. So here you should know. So this is Israel, and Palestine, the separate country which is proposed to be formed, actually comprises of Gaza and West Bank. So West Bank is here landlocked, but Gaza has open entry as such. You can see it has open access to the sea, but still Israel has blocked this access. So no international access is provided since a decade, and that is the reason why the Hamas political party which is ruling here is protesting. And you can see Israeli occupations also taking place. This is actually the black dot line which shows the armistice line, 1949 line, that this region should form Palestine. But then you can see this region has now Israeli settlements which are developing in this region, even around Jerusalem, which lies here. So Israel is encroaching on the land which initially was proposed to be part of Palestine. Then next is buyers would have to list Air India in 3 years. So Air India would be sold. Central government has unveiled plans that it proposes to sell 76% stake in the national carrier. So along with Air India Express, and 50% stake in AISATS. So this is the ground handling joint venture of Air India. So this will be sold off as a single entity. Remaining 24% share as such will be with the government. And the winning bidder will have to stay invested for a minimum of 3 years. And even it is expected to list the airline on the stock exchanges within 3 years of takeover. So these details have presently come forth. Then next is RBI raises limits for FPI's debt investment. So foreign portfolio investors. So these foreign portfolio investors who invest in stocks, debts, etc. The debt investment limit for them for the investments in central government as such have been raised by RBI. So for central government securities, the limit has been raised to 5.5% of outstanding stocks of securities in 2018-19 and 6% for 2019-20. Also for state development loans, FPIs, foreign portfolio investments will remain unchanged. They can invest at 2% of outstanding stocks and securities. And in corporate bonds, FPIs have the limit fixed at 9% of outstanding stocks of corporate bonds. And all subcategories as such have been discontinued. So this is regarding portfolio investment. Then next is Virgin Galactic tests spaceship. So Virgin Galactic, which is a private company owned by Richard Branson, this company has conducted a supersonic test flight in US of its Spaceship 2, which is a passenger rocket ship. 3 years ago, it resulted in a fatal accident, and now a new version has been developed, Spaceship 2 VSS Unity, and this has been successfully carried by VMS Eve carrier plane. It was released 46,500 feet above the ground, and it could fly up. So this actually is a spaceship which will result in world's first paying space tourists. So it will fly its passenger ship. But it has already started selling tickets for a ride aboard Spaceship 2. This is at the cost of $250,000 a seat. So what it proposes to do is take the passengers 100 kilometers above the earth, which is high enough to experience few minutes of weightlessness and see the curvature of the earth set against the blackness of the space. So this is what it proposes to do. It's a commercial company, and the original spaceship 2 broke apart in 2014 in an accident. It was a test which was being conducted, a test flight in which the co-pilot was killed and the pilot was seriously injured. So this accident ultimately has been attributed to pilot error. So here you can see the details of that is also given. So this spaceship 2 has the tail system. So this unique tail section which feathers at an angle to help the spacecraft make a safe landing is deployed. It was deployed as it was ascending without being ordered to do so. So that was said to be a pilot error which resulted in the fatal accident. And now the new version has been developed. And the last news item is dysfunctional gene linked to ADHD found. So the dysfunction in a gene can lead to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, and depression has been identified. This gene has been called ERBB4 gene. So this helps different brain regions to communicate. So it has been said that this could the dysfunction in this gene could result in such disorders. So it's also a risk factor for psychiatric disorders as such too, this gene ERBB4. So it is required to maintain healthy neurotransmitter levels in the brain. So research was done on mice. So mice lacking ERBB4 activity in the specific brain region perform poorly on timed attention tasks. So this is the news. So these are the news items. Thank you.